Welcome everyone to our ninth series of Shar Habitachan. We always like to start off with giving because how we give, that's how Hashem will give to us. Let's give generously so Hashem will give us generously. I'm going to put some coins in the tzedakah box. We always like to start off with saying Tehillim, Psalms. We are all praying together that all the hostages should come home immediately and Hashem should continue to protect the Chayalim and the Chayalo and all of Am Yisrael, in a revealed way that we can see it with our own eyes, and Mashiach should come immediately. So we're going to say Psalm Chaf, which is Kapitel Chaf 20. Lam natseach mizmar leDavid yancha Adonai b'yam tzara yisagef Hashem Elohei Akav yishlach ezracham yikadesh umitzien yisadecha yizkar kol min chaysecha ve'elaska yidash nasela yitain lecha chelva vevcha v'chol atzascha yimalei neranena b'shuasecha v'shem Eloheinu nidgal yimalei Adonai kol mishalasecha. Ataya daiti ki Aishia Adonai Mishicha Yanehu Mishmei Kachai Bigvurai Seishai Yaminai. Ela Varachav Ela Vasusim Banachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Naskir Hema Karu Vinafalu Banachnu Kamnu Minisadad Adonai Aishia Hamelach Yanenu V'Yam Karenu. I'd like to introduce to you Devorah Leah Andrusier, who is a Shar Habitachan enthusiast and an addiction and recovery coach. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone. We are on lesson 9. Hard to believe. Okay, so we are continuing on page 27 on the bottom right, financial responsibility. So I'm actually just going to read this over again. Among the Torah benefits of Bitachon is that the money of the person who trusts in God will not disturb him from trusting in him, and neither his wealth nor lack of it will cause him to sin. This is because he will rely on his money. He will not rely on his money. Rather, he will consider it as a deposit, which he has been instructed to use in certain ways for certain purposes and for a designated amount of time. If his wealth continues to remain with him, he will not rebel as a result of it, nor will he remind the one whom he has been instructed to be kind to of his kindness, nor will he ask to be repaid for his kindness, nor will he ask to be thanked or praised. Instead, he will thank his creator, may he be blessed, who put him in the position to be the means for the goodness of the recipient. So in lesson number 8, we shared a story and we talked about exactly this, and that's what it is. The money is mine because God allowed me to have it. What am I going to do with that money now? How am I going to live my life? So on the wealth side, it's okay, all of a sudden I started making money. What am I going to do? Am I going to dip back into that physical world, that materialistic world, because I now can afford the more luxurious things in life? Or am I going to stay balanced? So we're going to talk about balance after we finish this, because in the Jewish world, in every world, extremes are not good for us. Extremes are dangerous on either side. What we try to be and stay in is balance. So we're going to hold that thought and we're going to continue here. A person who trusts in God does not consider his money to be his. Rather, he sees it as God's money has been placed in his care. Therefore, he will not take credit or ask for appreciation when he uses his money to help others. Instead, he will thank God for being chosen to have the opportunity to help those in need. Even if he loses his money, he will not worry, nor mourn its loss. Instead, he will thank God for taking the deposit away from him, just as he thanked him when it was given to him in the first place. He will rejoice with his portion, will not seek that others be financially harmed, and will not be desirous of other people's money. As the wise man, King Solomon, said, righteous men eat to sate his appetite. So what does that mean, to sate your appetite? That means you eat just so that you're not hungry. You're no longer hungry. I've eaten, I had a nourishing meal, but how many of us get up after a meal, specifically a Yontif meal or a Shabbos meal or at a restaurant, and you're like, oh my God, I can't breathe, I can't move, I'm stuffed, I feel bloated. What has become of our world? We want more. In America, it's the consumer market. We now celebrate the holiday that others celebrate around the same time as Hanukkah. So it used to be 2-3 weeks before that, the lights would come out, the trees would come out. Now you're confused because all the way in September, they're already starting to put out the decorations and everything because it's a consumer's market. We have learned to eat until we're stuffed, to have until there's no room for us to even keep our stuff anymore. I got a phone. Now there's a new iPhone. I need the new iPhone. Whatever it is, it's more, more, more. And you would imagine that maybe in a world where there's more and more and more, and there isn't this lack, that we have a much healthier society, when in reality, it was the downfall of America. The consumer society becomes a breakdown in children. If your 4-year-old child has a remote control car, and the day he turns 15 here in Miami, you can drive when you're 15 with a restricted permit. Day he gets 15, his father and mother buy him a Porsche. What is that kid going to get excited from when he's 16? So there's a drug epidemic, all kinds of complete failures, parents who no longer speak to their children, children who decided that their parents are toxic and they cut their parents out, because when you want more and everything is this instant gratification world that we're living in now, we don't know how to live in a space of relax. Relax. You don't need to have everything. It's not good for you. It's not healthy for us. So now we're going to continue. We're still on page 28. I'm sorry, page 29. Up until this point, the author has been listing the Torah advantages of Bitachon. In the remainder of the introduction, he will discuss the advantages that Bitachon bring to a person in materialistic pursuits. So I just want to talk about that for a second. It's very clear that Jewish people are supposed to be involved in materialism. Otherwise, it would not teach us how to be involved in materialistic pursuits in a proper way. It would just say, separate yourself from materialism. Hashem, we talked about, wants a dwelling place here for himself. He wants us to elevate. So I'm doing something materialistic. I'm eating dinner. I'm making a blessing before I eat. I'm making a blessing after I eat. What are those blessings? You think Hashem just wants to bother us that I can't just sit down at a table and start eating? No. Hashem is giving us a gift. He's teaching us gratitude, because gratitude and bitachon they work together. The more grateful that I am, and I'm very clear as to what and who I am grateful to, the more I reinforce that bitachon. Okay. The benefits of bitachon in worldly matters are as follows. Stress-free. And this is what we talked about when I said in the introduction, he's getting us excited. He wants you to keep turning the rest of the pages. After you feel this, you're like, yes, I want more of this. I need to learn more because I want to learn how to feel this way. In a world where antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, just like literally all over the place. We don't really need that. Now, I'm not telling anybody who's on medication to go off their medication, God forbid. But the more we have this bitachon, the more real, true menuchas hanefesh, peace of soul and mind and body. Okay. Among them is peace of mind from the worries of the world and peace of mind from the nagging of the soul and its pain, which is due to the soul's lack of attaining its physical desires. A person who does not have bitachon is never at peace because he always feels lacking. A person who has bitachon is at rest, feels secure, and is at peace in this world, as it is written, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord shall be his trust. And as the following verse says, for he shall be like a tree planted by water, by a rivulet spread its roots. And we talked about the reason that he brings the verses is we want proof. We need sourcing for what he's saying. We are on the bottom of page 29. Among the worldly benefits is that having bitachon creates in the person the peace of mind that comes from not needing to travel long distances. Such travel can destroy people's bodies and hasten death due to the excessive motion and change of climate involved. Top of page 30. So let's just talk about that. This book, we have to remember, was written approximately 1,000 years ago when the mode of transportation was horse and buggy, camels, not, planes, trains, and automobiles. But even today, we can understand this because say a businessman who does have businesses all over and he has to travel for business, even if he's flying business class on every single trip, he is drained. It is absolutely taking a toll on his body. Now, this isn't to say that nobody should travel for business, because in the way that the world works today, a lot of people do travel for business. What he's referring to here is the ultimate man, that highest level of bitachon. Because when I have that highest level of bitachon, I don't need to travel. If I live in Miami and there's 10,000 people here who are making a parnasa, and I trust in God, I'm not going to go looking all over the world to figure out where I can find my parnasa. I will continue to strengthen my trust and trust that Hashem will provide me parnasa where I am. So I'm not telling people who travel for business not to. This is talking about the ultimate man, where we are looking to get to. And in the Jewish world, I think it's an important thing to say is that for us, it's never about the destination. We are always on a journey, and the journey is who we are about. It's a constant moving up the ladder or moving down the ladder. Nothing in life stays stagnant. So if I'm moving up the ladder, I'm moving in a positive forward movement. If I'm moving down the ladder, I need to quickly halt, take a breath, and figure out that I should start climbing back up. Okay, middle of page 30. And as it has been related regarding an ascetic's path to asceticism. So an ascetic, for those of you who don't know, is someone who completely separates themselves from physicality. You have like Ram Dass. He's an ascetic. He lives on a mountain somewhere and he communes and meditates with God all day long. That's it. Zero physicality. So this ascetic, he went to a faraway land to seek his sustenance during the beginning of his asceticism. During his travels, he met a star worshiper in a city where he had arrived. The ascetic says to the star worshiper, "How much are you in a state of utter blindness and lack of understanding in your service of the stars?" So here he is, and he's making fun of the star worshiper. The idol worshiper replies, "And whom do you serve?" The ascetic replied, "I serve the Creator, who is able to do anything, who sustains, who is one, who provides food for each person according to his needs, and there is no one like him." The idol worshiper says to him, "Your actions contradict your words." "How so?" The idol worshiper replies, "If what you said were to be true, then God would provide for you in your city just as he has provided for you until now, and you would not need to bother yourself to come to this far away land." With this argument, the ascetic was shut down. Consequently, he returned to his land, accepted upon himself to be an ascetic from that time on, and never left his city again. So we see here, you don't need to go anywhere. Or when life just feels wonderful for a period, don't say to yourself, I don't know if I'm so deserving of this. Maybe it wasn't really meant for me. Hashem knows our address. And if we get a package and it's a beautiful package, it's because that's what Hashem wants for us. And if we get a package that's a little banged up and doesn't look as shiny, it's also because it's what Hashem knows is good for us. We just don't understand it because the packaging doesn't look the way I want a packaged gift to look. It's a little scraped. It's a little burnt at the edges. There's a little tear in it. So I'm automatically like, no, I don't want that. No, I absolutely want that because if you're giving it to me, it means that it is good for me. Now, how I'm going to translate that good, how I'm going to work through that specific challenge is on me. Our challenges are not what defines us. It's how we choose to deal with the challenge in our life that defines us. Many, many times and oft, a challenge is presented to us. We did not choose the challenge. So the challenge can't be what defines us. But now that the challenge is here, how I'm going to take on that challenge is who I am. And that is an expression of myself. Okay. I think that we should end here. No, we shouldn't end. Okay, I didn't mean to say we're finishing class. What I meant to say is we're finishing in the book for right now. And I wanted to share a story that I read that made sense with this. So many of us are aware of and know of the great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, alav shalom. He was an incredible speaker, an incredible person. He came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe when he was a young man working at the Oxford University. And he came to the Rebbe with a list of questions. His hair was long at the time, and he was rapid firing questions at the Rebbe. And the Rebbe stopped him in the middle and he said to him, "What are you doing for the Jewish people in Oxford?" So what did the Rebbe do? He flipped it around. He had all these questions, and now the Rebbe is flipping around on him and empowering him to be something greater. So he answers the Rebbe and he says, well, the situation in which I find myself, and again, the Rebbe right there in the middle interrupted him and he said, a Jewish person doesn't find themselves in a situation. They put themselves into a situation. So what is it? We're talking about that everything is from Hashem, divine providence. If I need to make a decision for one of my children, this school or this school. So, and I finally, with all my research and everything, I choose school A. How do I know if that was my free choice or if that was God's intervention? So there's a double-edged sword here. Hashem wants us to make a hishtadlus. He wants us to put in the work. That's called my inner providence, what I am doing in order for things to be good. Then there's the outer providence of Hashem maneuvering the world. So how do we explain free choice? If God knows what I'm going to do, how do I actually have free choice? And this is an age-old question. For me, I'm able to answer it in a way that for me was very, very simple. If I put out on my Shabbos table 3 boxes of cereal in the morning, 2 are healthy and 1 is Fruity Pebbles, I know that my children are going to choose the Fruity Pebbles. Does my knowing change whether or not they have free choice? Absolutely not, because they could surprise me and choose the healthy cereal. Me knowing what they're going to choose doesn't take away their free choice. Now, we could say, but Hashem knows if you're going to change your mind. Still, yes, God knows everything that's going to happen, but we humans have free choice with our experiences because that was the fundamental reason why God created people. He needed a people who had the ability to choose him. The angels don't have the ability to choose God. They were created for a mission to serve God. They don't have the choice. When you have a choice, you're actually choosing this or this. And that's what Hashem wants. He wants us to continuously choose him. Okay, we're on the page 31. Among the material, we're back in the book now. Among the material benefits is that Habitachan instills in a person a peace of mind and body that comes from not needing to perform difficult work nor engage in occupations that tire the body. He will also be at peace due to the ability to abandon the service of kings and their laws and to avoid the corruption of servants. A person who trusts in God chooses the means of sustenance for himself that will entail greater rest for his body, give him a good name, and leave his heart free from worry. He also chooses those occupations that are more helpful for his Torah observance. All of this is due to the strong belief that the means of sustenance will not add to his amount of sustenance, nor will it cause him to lack anything. His amount of sustenance will only be increased or decreased by the decree of God, may he be blessed. So we know that on Rosh Hashanah, we are inscribed for whatever's going to happen to us that year. And on Yom Kippur, it is sealed. Who's going to live, who's going to die, how much money we're going to make, how much money we're going to make. So I get up in the morning and I go to work and I do my job and I do it well. But there's still some financial stress in the home. So is it me still needing to do more hishtadlus? Should I then drive an Uber at night to bring in some extra money? If I do that, I'm not able to spend time with my children, not able to spend time with my spouse. I'm not able to do a lot of the mitzvahs that I need to do because I practically don't have the time. It says that someone who trusts in God is not going to put himself in those circumstances. How often are we in a position at work, our job, whatever it is that we're doing, and we're unhappy? We're unhappy. We don't feel productive. We don't feel like we're living our purpose, or we're not being treated well, whatever the reason is. But we stay. We stay because the evil that we think we know is better than the evil that we don't know. But if I am doing the best that I can, and this job is not sustaining me in an emotionally well, it's covering my bills, but it's not sustaining me in an emotional way, really is a time for you to sit down with your mashpia. A mashpia is someone who is a little bit of a level up from you, and the Rebbe said that it's super important to have a mashpia, is someone who cares about you and loves you, but is able to look at a situation a little bit more objectively than we are. And you say, I'm learning bitachon, learning all about trust in Hashem. And I really am not happy at work. I wake up, I dread going to work, I count the hours down, but I'm paying my bills for my family. Do you think that I should start looking for something different? The answer may be absolutely. You don't have to leave what you're doing until you find something new, but you have to have this ability to trust God. So in one of our lessons, we talked about modani and the importance of modani, right? We wake up in the morning and we say this pasuk. And we talked about how important this pasuk is. This pasuk is our morning meditation. There is a room and space in meditation in the Jewish world. Tanya has multiple times where it talks about meditation. Moda'ani is a gratitude meditation. And in addition to that, it's if I'm here, I have a purpose to be here. And God doesn't want me to live my life unhappy day in and day out. So I need to find things in my world that bring me joy. Because within all of this, the bitachon and the gratitude, simcha pirates geder, the Jewish people are supposed to be as happy as they can. Even in times where it says that it's irrational for you to be able to be happy right now, we have to summon up all of our strength, because the barriers that are broken by joy, nothing is comparable to that. So I'm going to tell you a story about my grandfather, Eliyahu Akiva, and my aunt, Sheva Shochat. She was born, she was very, very sick. And the doctor says, she's not going to make it. You have other children, just, forget about it. My grandfather quickly ran to the Rebbe and asked for a bracha. And the Rebbe said, you need to go home and you need to make a simcha in your house. So it's Friday night. My grandfather invites the community of Toronto, and he's farbringing, and he has delicious foods, and they're making l'chaims. Rabbi Shochat, the older Rabbi Shochat, came into my grandfather's house, and he looks at this grandfather of mine. He knew what was going on with his daughter, and he says, either this man is a complete mishuganet, a complete crazy person, or his faith is so strong, his trust is so strong, and he's doing what the Rebbe wants him to do. Fast forward many, many, many years later, his son, Rabbi Ovadia Shochat, married that little girl who was sick and dying, my Aunt Sheva. So bitachon is a very real thing. And like I said, over and over, because I tell myself this, because Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I can be great. And then I judge myself. If I'm not in my great bitachon state, I'm like, how could this be happening? How could this be happening? You know what you need to do. You understand how this works. And we're human. And we should never forget that we're human. We're humans. We are human. And when that initial thought, the first thought, my son called me, Mommy, I'm going into Rafiach. First thought, panic, fear, anxiousness. Okay, you're here. You showed up. I'm going to address this. I'm going to allow you to be frightened and uncomfortable and anxious, but you are very quickly, I'm giving you an hour, I'm giving you 2 hours, and then you are going to quickly tap back in. So what does tap back in mean for me? I listen to another recording of somebody. I'll listen to anyone, or I'll open up the book and read something, or I'll reread my notes. And what does it do? It just, okay, that God consciousness is back. That bitachon consciousness is back. So it's a constant work. It's an avodah, but it's an avodah that is so worthwhile. It is, I'm going to put in the hard work because I know that the return is magnificent. And the more of us that feel the same way and that are like-minded, imagine sitting at a table with a bunch of people who believe this and feel this and live this. Our world will start to change, and our world desperately needs to change. We are not in a healthy place. The world is not in a healthy place, separate from this horrific war. We see what that has brought out. Every piece of ugliness from anyone and everyone. Because, and I used to shy away from saying this, we are the chosen people. God chose us. And the other religions who are truly religious own that and are aware of that as well. Who needs to start to own that and who needs to start to believe that? We do, more than anyone else. Because in today's world and in today's day and age, we can no longer allow other people to identify who we are. We need to show the world who we are over and over again. We don't get tired. We don't get lazy. We don't say, you know what, I've had enough already. Every single day, we need to make the commitment to show up as this unapologetic, proud Jew who is representing God. So due to the fact that this class is in memory of my 2 grandmothers, I will share with you about my Babi Olav Shalom, who passed away a little over a month ago, Babi Rachel. She was one of the most positive people that I knew. And I would say to my children, she's not positive and smiling and complimentary and giving words of wisdom because she just came home from the spa and she had this wonderful, luxurious life. She lived a life of extreme challenge. Her 2 baby brothers, her 2 younger brothers were killed in the war. They emigrated to Canada. She went through the Leningrad siege. She lived in DP camps, had to deliver a child in DP camps, finally emigrated to Canada. Her husband passed away too young, my Zaidi Elio Akiva. Her son passed away. So this is a woman who lived in real challenge. She became deaf at a very young age. She could have been and would have had every right to be an angry, resentful, bitter woman. But I told my children every single morning, Bubby wakes up and makes a decision that she is going to be a kind and loving person. She did that for all of us. What she received in return is that everybody wanted to be in her presence. Everybody wanted to be around her because to be around her, you would always be told something beautiful about yourself. and she taught me something. She taught me many, many things, but she always taught me like this. If someone comes to you and says to you, how do I look? Do you like my dress? If they're already where they're going, you tell them you look beautiful. If they're still home and they can change and you don't think they look beautiful, you should tell them. So there's a story like this. I won't say whose name it was, but she came to the house, my bubby was here. And she said to her, because she also called her bubby, and she said to her, Bubby, do you like my dress? And she says, a beautiful dress and a beautiful maidele. The girl walks out of the house to go to shul, and my grandmother says to me, shugana kleid, which means, crazy dress. But to the girl, she made her feel like $1 million. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's who we are. We're supposed to walk this world and make life better and easier for those who are struggling. Because if you have ever struggled, and I'm sure that you have, you understand what it feels like to struggle. And it's so much more painful to struggle alone. So as these unapologetic Jews, I want to task all of us with keeping that front and center in our minds and making sure that we show up as the Jewish people that God gifted us with, and give that over to people that all are around us that don't necessarily have the support systems. Even within this class, we could support one another. So that is lesson 9, and it's wonderful to be here again.
Thank you so much, Devorah, for sharing. And those stories were unreal. And I loved your grandmother, like mine. She was really so, so special. And that story is very true, because I know it's true, because it happened to me. She wanted to make me feel so special. But really, I was dressed and ready to go. And I secretly knew it wasn't the right dress for me, but she was just a woman of she just made everyone feel like $1 million in her presence. And I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with her, and we emailed each other. And like Devorah Leah said, she wasn't able to hear, yet she had a device and she was able to email, and she knew every single thing that was going on in your life. Not just her grandkids, also her adopted grandkids and her adopted friends and her, adopted family, and just everyone adored her. And, a person will never forget how someone made them feel. So we all have that opportunity to be more like Bubby Rachel. So I want to end off with a quote of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it goes like this. So give me a moment. I'm going to pull it up. It's a great one. And it's very appropriate to this week's class and the class of number 8, which I was going to share that or the other. One second. I'm going to send, I'm pulling it up. In a time of increasing darkness, we must respond with an increasing of light. And that is a quote of the Rebbe, which is so profound. And it's very appropriate to today. So we all need to be the light. And by being the light is by standing and being a proud Jew, like Devorah said, and not just saying with signs, I'm a proud Jew, and not just by wearing a star, which is important, but also by doing what Hashem wants from us, his Torah and his laws, and to learn more Torah, which we're doing right now. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We do this weekly in memory of our dear grandmothers, Rivka Dina Bas Yosef Yehuda and Rachel Bela Bashner Zalman. I know you're proud of us. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chaya Mink. We have incredible stories and journeys, and we will be posting in the near future that story of Sheva sharing her personal story. She shared once on a class, it was never revealed. And we love feedback, so please give it to us. Thank you so much. Looking forward to class number 10.